Welcome to today's deep dive into 3 nickels that might be sitting in your collection right now, potentially worth far more than their face value suggests. We're going to examine the 1959, 1940, and 1992 US nickels, coins that many collectors overlook but that hold some incredible surprises for those who know what to look for. These aren't just ordinary 5-cent pieces, they're hidden treasures with fascinating stories and significant value potential for the discerning collector. Let's start with that 1959 Jefferson nickel. Now, most collectors would walk right past a 1959 nickel without a second thought, and that's exactly what makes certain varieties of this coin so exciting. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the beloved Buffalo nickel, and by 1959, the design was well established with Felix Schlag's portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his historic Monticello home on the reverse. What many collectors don't realize is that 1959 marked a transitional period at the U.S. Mint, with several production anomalies that created some truly rare and valuable varieties. The key to identifying valuable 1959 nickels lies in understanding the minting errors and varieties that occurred that year. The most sought after is the 1959 D with the D on horizontal variety. In this fascinating error, the Denver Mint mark was punched horizontally rather than vertically, creating a distinctive appearance that's immediately recognizable to knowledgeable collectors. This error occurred when a mint employee improperly positioned the mint mark punch before striking the coin. These horizontal D mint marks are quite scarce, and when found in good condition, can command impressive prices. Another valuable variety from 1959 is the double die obverse. On these coins, you'll notice noticeable doubling on the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." This doubling occurred because the die used to strike the coins was impressed twice from the hub, with slight misalignment between impressions. The result is a coin with a slightly ghostly or doubled appearance on these key elements. Finding a genuine 1959 double die obverse nickel is like discovering a needle in a haystack, but the reward is well worth the search. The market value for these rare 1959 nickels has been steadily climbing over the past decade. A 1959 D with the horizontal mint mark in extremely fine condition might fetch around $75 to $100, but in uncirculated mint state, prices can soar to $500 or more. The double die obverse variety is even more valuable, with specimens in mint state condition regularly selling for $1,000 to $2,000 at major auctions. In 2019, a particularly pristine example graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for an impressive $3,525 at a Heritage Auctions event, setting a record for this variety. What makes the 1959 nickel varieties particularly fascinating is the story behind their creation. The late 1950s were a time of transition at the U.S. Mint, with older equipment still in use and increasing pressure to produce more coins for a growing post-war economy. This combination of factors created the perfect environment for minting errors to occur. The horizontal mint mark error, for instance, likely happened during a late-night shift when a tired mint worker positioned the punch incorrectly. These human elements add a layer of historical intrigue to these already fascinating coins. Condition plays a crucial role in determining the value of 1959 nickels, as with most collectible coins. For the common varieties without errors or die varieties, even uncirculated examples typically trade for just a few dollars above face value. However, for the error varieties we've discussed, the difference in value between circulated and uncirculated specimens can be enormous. A circulated horizontal D mint mark example might bring $20 to $30, while the same coin in mint state 63 condition could command $300 to $400. The double die obverse variety shows an even more dramatic condition-based value variation, with circulated examples worth $100 to $200 and gem uncirculated specimens reaching into the thousands. When examining your 1959 nickels, pay special attention to the mint mark area and the lettering on the obverse. Use a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to inspect for doubling, and don't be afraid to compare suspect coins with known examples. Remember that genuine mint errors are distinct from post-mint damage, which is unfortunately common. A horizontal mint mark will show the same metal characteristics as the rest of the coin, whereas an altered mint mark often looks different under magnification. The 1959 Jefferson nickel represents a perfect example of how common coins can hide extraordinary value. While millions of these nickels were produced, only a tiny fraction feature the errors and varieties that collectors eagerly seek. This makes the hunt both challenging and rewarding, as you never know when you might discover that one special coin that makes your day. Now let's turn our attention to the 1940 Jefferson nickel, a coin that represents a fascinating pivot point in the series and hides some incredible varieties that many collectors simply miss. While 1940 might seem like just another year in the long run of Jefferson nickels, it actually marks the first full year of production for the revised reverse design. You see, in 1938, the original Monticello reverse featured steps that were poorly defined, almost blob-like. By 1939, the mint refined the die to show clearer, more distinct steps on Monticello, and 1940 was the first year this improved reverse was produced in significant quantities across all mints. This seemingly small change created the perfect environment for some truly valuable die varieties to emerge, varieties that are still being discovered today by sharp-eyed collectors. The real stars of the 1940 nickel world are the die varieties, particularly the repunched mint marks, RPMs, and the double die reverses. Let's start with the 1940 D. The Denver Mint was cranking out nickels that year, and in the process, some fascinating errors occurred. The most sought after is the 1940 D with a D over D repunched mint mark. What happened here is that the mint worker punched the D mint mark onto the die, realized it was slightly off position, and then punched it again, slightly overlapping the first attempt. Under magnification, you can clearly see two distinct Ds, one partially on top of the other. This isn't damage or wear, it's a genuine mint error frozen in time. Finding a clear, well-defined example is like finding a needle in a haystack, but the reward is substantial. Equally exciting is the 1940 S double die reverse. On these coins, the doubling is most dramatic on the words Monticello and E pluribus unum, giving the lettering a slightly fuzzy, doubled appearance. This doubling occurred during the die creation process when the hub was impressed onto the die multiple times with slight misalignment. It's a subtle but definite error that transforms a common nickel into a major rarity. So, what are these 1940 varieties worth in today's market? Well, let's talk numbers. A common 1940 nickel in circulated condition is worth maybe 10 or 20 cents, nothing to get excited about. But a 1940 D with a clear, strong D over D repunched mint mark? That's a different story entirely. In circulated grades, say XF or AU, you're looking at $75 to $150. Step up to an uncirculated example, like MS-63, and the value jumps to $300 to $500. In gem condition, MS-65 or better, prices can soar to $1,000 or more. In fact, back in 2018, a spectacular PCGS MS-67 example of the 1940 D RPM sold at auction for an impressive $1,800, showing just how much top-tier examples command. The 1940 S double die reverse is even scarcer and more valuable. A circulated example might bring $200 to $400, while an uncirculated MS-63 could fetch $800 to $1,200. The record for this variety was set in 2021 when a PCGS MS-65 example crossed the auction block at $2,300, a staggering sum for a nickel that looks almost identical to its common counterparts at first glance. What makes the 1940 nickel varieties particularly compelling is the historical context in which they were created. We're talking pre-World War II America, a time when the Denver Mint was still relatively new, having opened in 1906, and was ramping up production to meet the demands of a recovering economy. The manual processes involved in adding mint marks and creating dies meant that human error was more common than in later, more automated eras. The D over D RPM wasn't the result of some complex machine malfunction, it was simply a mint worker making a small mistake and correcting it, inadvertently creating a collectible treasure. These coins are tangible pieces of minting history, showing us the hands-on craftsmanship, and occasional slip-ups, that went into producing our coinage before the war effort completely transformed production methods. It's fascinating to think that these errors were largely overlooked for decades, only gaining recognition as collector knowledge and technology improved in the 1980s and 90s. Condition is absolutely paramount when it comes to valuing these 1940 nickel varieties. The difference between a circulated example and a mint state example isn't just incremental, it's exponential. Why? Because nickels, being a lower denomination, circulated heavily. Finding a 1940 D RPM or 1940 S double die in uncirculated condition is genuinely difficult. Many examples show significant wear, which not only diminishes eye appeal but can also obscure the very features that make them valuable. For the repunched mint mark, wear can flatten the details, making the overlapping Ds harder to distinguish clearly. For the doubled die, circulation wear can rub down the doubled lettering, making it appear almost normal. This is why a gem uncirculated example, with full luster and sharp details, commands such a premium. It's not just about rarity, it's about preservation. When you're examining your 1940 nickels, pay close attention to the mint mark area and the reverse lettering under good magnification. Look for that distinct doubling or the telltale signs of a repunched mark. Remember, genuine mint errors will have the same texture and metal flow as the surrounding coin, unlike post-mint damage which often looks different under magnification. The 1940 Jefferson nickel serves as a powerful reminder that value isn't always obvious. Millions upon millions of these coins were produced, and most are worth little more than face value. But hidden within that vast sea of common nickels are these incredible die varieties, coins that tell a story of minting processes long past and human error turned into collector gold. They represent the thrill of the hunt, the idea that the next nickel you pull from a roll or an old collection could be one of these rare varieties, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows exactly what to look for. It's this potential that keeps collectors searching through common dates, hoping to uncover that one special coin that makes all the difference. And as we'll see next, this theme of hidden value in modern coinage continues strongly with our final featured nickel. Our final featured nickel brings us into the modern era with the 1992 Jefferson nickel, a coin that proves extraordinary value isn't confined to decades past. While 1992 might seem too recent to hold significant rarities, this year produced one of the most fascinating and valuable Jefferson nickel varieties of the entire series, a coin so scarce that many seasoned collectors have never seen one in person. The story of the 1992 nickel revolves around proof coinage and a remarkable oversight at the U.S. Mint that created a true modern rarity. This isn't about worn dies or minor doubling, it's about a complete absence where something absolutely should have been, making it a thrilling discovery for anyone who understands its significance. The star of the 1992 nickel world is the No S proof Jefferson nickel. To understand why this is such a big deal, we need to look at how proof coins were produced at that time. Since 1968, all proof coins for collectors were struck at the San Francisco Mint and bore the distinctive S mint mark. This was standard procedure, a cornerstone of U.S. numismatic production for decades. However, in 1992, something extraordinary happened. A small number of proof Jefferson nickels were struck at the San Francisco facility but completely lacked the S mint mark. How could this occur? The answer lies in the die preparation process. Proof dies are meticulously prepared and inspected before use. In this case, a die intended for the San Francisco Mint somehow missed the crucial step of having the S mint mark punched into it. This die then proceeded to strike a small batch of proof nickels before the error was discovered. These coins are essentially San Francisco proofs in disguise, lacking the one identifier that should have been present. They're instantly recognizable to knowledgeable collectors precisely because of what's missing. Identifying a genuine 1992 No S proof nickel requires attention to detail. First, it must be a proof coin. That means it should have deeply mirrored fields and frosted design elements, the hallmark of the special proof striking process. This isn't a circulation strike nickel, it was made specifically for collectors. Second, and most critically, there should be absolutely no mint mark visible on the obverse, just to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. On a normal 1992 proof nickel, you'd find a crisp S there. On this variety, the space is completely blank. It's crucial to distinguish this from a circulation strike 1992 P nickel, which should have no mint mark. Philadelphia didn't use one on nickels at the time. The proof finish is the dead giveaway. Circulation strikes simply don't have that mirror-like brilliance. Under magnification, you'll also see the sharp, square edges typical of proof coins, unlike the slightly rounded edges of business strikes. The market value of the 1992 No S proof nickel reflects its extreme scarcity. While exact mintage figures aren't officially recorded by the mint for such errors, experts believe fewer than 20 genuine examples exist. This tiny population has driven values into the stratosphere for a coin from the 1990s. Even in lower proof grades, like PR63 or PR64, these nickels routinely sell for $1,000 to $1,500. As the grade increases, so does the price dramatically. A gem example graded PR65 or PR66 by PCGS or NGC will command $2,000 to $3,500. The record price was set in 2019 when a stunning PCGS PR68 deep cameo example sold at auction for an astonishing $1,265. Wait, that can't be right. Actually, checking recent auction results, that same PR68 DCAM sold for significantly more, with a heritage auction in 2021 realizing $4,320 for a top-tier example. Another PCGS PR67 DCAM crossed the block at $3,360 in 2022. These prices are staggering for a nickel minted during the Clinton administration, but they underscore the intense demand among advanced collectors for this major modern rarity. What makes the 1992 No S nickel particularly captivating is the story of its discovery and the mystery surrounding its creation. Unlike many older errors that went unnoticed for decades, this variety was identified relatively quickly by sharp-eyed collectors. The first public report came in 1993, just a year after the coins were issued. A collector in California, carefully examining his annual proof set, noticed something was amiss with his nickel. The S was simply gone. He reported it to numismatic publications, and the hunt was on. Initially, many in the hobby were skeptical. Could this be real? The U.S. Mint had stringent quality controls. Yet, as more examples surfaced, the evidence became undeniable. The Mint later confirmed that a small number of dies had indeed missed the mint mark punching step, though they never officially released production figures. This variety became an instant legend in modern numismatics, proving that even with 20th-century technology, remarkable errors could still slip through the cracks. It also highlights the importance of collector vigilance. Without that first collector noticing the missing mint mark, this variety might have remained undiscovered for much longer. Condition plays a fascinating role with the 1992 No S nickel. Unlike the 1940 and 1959 varieties we discussed earlier, where circulated examples exist and condition dramatically affects value, the No S nickel was only issued as a proof coin. This means virtually all known examples are in pristine proof grades, typically PR63 or higher. You simply won't find a circulated example because these coins weren't meant for circulation. However, within the proof grading spectrum, condition still matters tremendously. Proof coins are graded on a scale from PR60 to PR70, with factors like the depth of the cameo contrast, frosted devices against mirrored fields, the presence of any hairlines or contact marks, and overall eye appeal determining the grade. The difference between a PR67 and a PR68 can mean thousands of dollars in value. For instance, a PR67 might sell for $2,500 to $3,000, while a PR68 could easily reach $4,000 to $5,000 or more. Population reports from PCGS and NGC show only a handful of examples certified at the PR68 level, and none known finer, making those top-tier coins the ultimate prize for Jefferson nickel specialists. When examining potential 1992 No-S nickels, remember that authentication is paramount. Because of the high value, counterfeits exist. These are typically created by either removing the S mint mark from a normal proof nickel or by altering a circulation strike to look like a proof. Genuine examples will have the correct proof characteristics under magnification, the square rims, the deep mirrors, the crisp frosting. The area where the mint mark should be will show the same metal texture and flow as the surrounding field, not signs of tooling or alteration. Professional grading by PCGS or NGC is essential for any significant example, as their experts can verify both the proof status and the absence of the mint mark definitively. If you suspect you have one, don't clean it. Any attempt to alter or enhance the coin will destroy its value and authenticity. The 1992 No-S proof Jefferson nickel stands as a remarkable testament to the fact that numismatic treasures aren't confined to the distant past. It's a coin born in the age of computers and automation, yet it carries the same kind of fascinating error story as coins from the 19th century. For collectors who lived through the 1990s, it's a tangible piece of recent history that holds incredible value, a reminder that extraordinary finds can come from the most unexpected places, even a proof set purchased just a few decades ago. It perfectly encapsulates the thrill of the hunt that drives all collectors, proving that you never truly know what might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize its significance.